800 American service members, 72 ballistic missiles, and 14 minutes to decide whether an entire base would survive or become the worst single attack on American forces in modern history. This is not a story about luck. This is not a story about chance. This is a story about preparation, technology, and what happens when a nation fires everything it has at the most protected military installation in the Middle East and gets a response that changes the regional balance of power forever. March 3rd. Udeid Air Base, Qatar, 9:02 in the morning. Somewhere across the border in western Iran, 12 hidden launch sites activated simultaneously. 6 missiles per site, 72 total, all armed, all targeted, all headed toward one location. Stay with me, because what happens over the next 26 minutes is something military historians will study for decades. To understand why 72 missiles were launched at an American base in Qatar, you need to go back exactly 72 hours. February 28th. 2026. A joint American and Israeli operation carried out a series of coordinated precision strikes deep inside Iranian territory. The targets were not random. They were selected over months of intelligence gathering. The operation hit Iranian nuclear production facilities, ballistic missile manufacturing plants, command and control infrastructure, and leadership. When the smoke cleared, Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei was gone. Not captured, not displaced. Gone. Along with significant portions of the nuclear and missile program Iran had spent decades building. The world held its breath. Every intelligence agency on the planet began asking the same question: what happens next? In Tehran, the answer was being assembled inside an emergency military council. Ayatollah Khamenei, now acting supreme leader and the son of the man just removed from power, convened his generals within hours. Revolutionary Guard commanders, aerospace force leadership, Navy admirals, all gathered in hardened facilities beneath the Iranian capital. The discussion was not about whether to respond. It was about how. Mojtaba Khamenei spoke directly. His father had been removed by American and Israeli action. The nuclear program was shattered. Military capability had been degraded overnight. Iran had to respond. Iran had to show the world that attacking the Islamic Republic carried consequences. IRGC Aerospace Force Commander General Amir Ali Hajisad presented the plan. The American military maintained its largest regional presence at Udeid Air Base in Qatar. 800 U.S. Marines stationed there. Coalition command infrastructure, aircraft, logistics, everything that made American military power in the region function. Iran still had 72 Fate 313 missiles that survived the American strikes, solid fuel propellant, hypersonic capable in terminal phase, high accuracy, range sufficient to reach Qatar from western Iranian launch sites, launch all 72 simultaneously, overwhelm American Patriot missile defense systems through sheer volume, ensure impact, cause casualties on a scale that would force America to hesitate before ever striking Iran again. Mojtaba Khamenei authorized the operation without hesitation. The order was transmitted: execute immediately. While Iranian military planners were designing their response, they were making assumptions. Assumptions about American readiness, assumptions about defensive capability, assumptions about warning time. Every single one of those assumptions was wrong. Udeid Air Base was not a soft target. It was never a soft target. But in the days following the strikes on Iranian leadership, the base had moved to its highest defensive posture. Colonel James Mitchell, commanding the Marine contingent, had briefed his senior staff the morning after the strikes. His message was simple: Iran would respond. The base was the most likely target in the region. Every system needed to be active. Every person needed to know the shelter procedures. Nobody was to treat any alarm as routine. What Mitchell had at his disposal was the most advanced layered air defense system deployed anywhere in the world at that moment. 6 Patriot missile batteries, 24 launch platforms positioned around the base perimeter, 96 interceptor missiles ready to fire. The Patriot advanced capability, 3 missile segment enhancement configuration, the version specifically engineered to defeat ballistic missiles in their terminal phase, even at hypersonic speeds. The radar coverage was seamless. Every approach vector accounted for, and feeding data to those systems was something Iran had completely failed to account for. The United States Space Force had assets overhead continuously. Infrared sensors capable of detecting the heat signature of a ballistic missile launch within seconds of ignition. Not minutes, seconds. The regional early warning network extended across Qatar, Bahrain, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Oman. Ground radar installations, naval assets, airborne surveillance platforms, all of them integrated, all of them feeding into a unified picture. When something launched from western Iran, every American defense system in the region would know before that missile had traveled 100 kilometers. Iran believed 14 minutes was not enough warning time to protect the base. American planning had been built around exactly that scenario for years. 14 minutes was more than enough. March 3rd, 9:02 in the morning, Qatar time. The first Iranian missiles ignited at 12 hidden launch sites spread across western Iran, 6 missiles per site. A rolling launch sequence designed to put all 72 missiles into the air within 12 minutes. Iranian planners believed this simultaneous salvo would overwhelm any single defensive system. The Space Force satellites detected the first launches within seconds of ignition. Infrared bloom. Thermal signature confirmed. Computer systems running trajectory calculations automatically. Warning transmitted to U.S. Central Command before the Iranian missiles had cleared their launch sites. 72 inbound. Trajectory, Udeid Air Base, Qatar. Estimated impact time, 14 minutes. 9:03. Udeid received the warning. Base sirens activated. Every loudspeaker on the installation broadcasting simultaneously. The message was not complicated. Incoming ballistic missiles. All personnel to hardened shelters. Not a drill. 800 Marines moved. Not in panic. In a controlled, practiced, deliberate evacuation that they had trained for repeatedly. Concrete bunkers. Reinforced structures designed to survive near misses. Underground facilities, every person accounted for, every position confirmed. The evacuation took minutes because it had been rehearsed until it was automatic. Colonel Mitchell reached the command bunker and immediately called for status. Major Sarah Rodriguez, commanding the Patriot batteries, delivered the report. All 6 batteries active. All 24 launch platforms operational. 96 interceptors ready. The radar was tracking all 72 inbound missiles. Engagement would begin at optimal intercept range. Mitchell gave the order. Weapons free. Protect the base. Protect our people. 9:10. The Iranian missiles reached maximum altitude, 50 kilometers above the Earth. They began their terminal descent phase, accelerating, transitioning to hypersonic speeds. 7 minutes to impact. This is the phase that Iranian planners had designed around. A missile traveling at hypersonic velocity in its terminal descent is one of the most difficult intercept problems in modern missile defense. The speed compresses reaction time. The angle of descent limits intercept geometry. The kinetic energy at impact is enormous. Iran believed that even if some of the 72 missiles were intercepted, enough would get through to cause catastrophic casualties. The Patriot system was designed for exactly this problem. Radar tracking all 72 simultaneously, computer systems calculating optimal intercept solutions for each target, prioritizing by arrival time and threat to personnel areas, coordinating fire from all 24 launch platforms to ensure no gaps, no missed windows, no second chances needed. 9:12. First Patriot interceptors launched. 4 missiles climbing at Mach 5 and above, radar guided, closing on the lead Iranian missiles at combined speeds that made the intercept window measured in fractions of seconds. 4 contacts, 4 explosions at high altitude, debris falling harmlessly. First kills confirmed, 68 remaining. The Patriot batteries did not pause. They did not require operator input between shots. The system engaged automatically, working through the target queue with mechanical efficiency. Every 4 seconds, new interceptors launched. New targets destroyed, 9:14. 24 Iranian missiles destroyed, 48 remaining, 5 minutes to impact. The rate of fire increased, all 24 launch platforms firing at maximum rate. The sky above Udeid filled with the smoke trails of outgoing interceptors. High-altitude explosions marking each Iranian missile destroyed before it could reach its target. 9:15. 45 Iranian missiles destroyed, 27 remaining, 4 minutes to impact. 9:16. 60 Iranian missiles destroyed, 12 remaining, 3 minutes to impact. Coalition aircraft scrambled from nearby bases as additional insurance. The pilots would not be needed. 9:17. 68 Iranian missiles destroyed, 4 remaining, 2 minutes to impact. These were the hardest intercepts. Lowest altitude, fastest velocity, steepest descent angles. The Patriot system had been saving optimized intercept geometry for exactly these final targets. 9:18. 70 of 72 Iranian missiles destroyed, 2 remaining, 1 minute to impact. 30 seconds before the first Iranian missile would have impacted the base, the final 2 Patriot interceptors launched. 2 contacts, 2 explosions. Final kills confirmed. 9:18 and 45 seconds. Silence. All 72 Iranian ballistic missiles destroyed. 0 penetrated the defensive perimeter. 0 impacted the base. 100% intercept rate. 800 Marines were alive. The base was untouched. The operation Iran had called Khamenei Revenge had failed completely. In Tehran, the mood in the Emergency Military Council shifted from anticipation to confusion as missile telemetry stopped returning. One by one, 72 signals went dark, not because they had impacted their targets, because they had been destroyed. Iran had fired its remaining ballistic missile capability at a single target. That capability was now debris falling into the Persian Gulf and the deserts of Qatar. At the same time, something else was happening. Something Iran had not fully calculated when it made the decision to launch. The moment 72 missiles were launched from 12 sites across western Iran, every launch location was fixed. GPS coordinates locked by Space Force satellites, ground radar cross-referenced. The positions were known with precision, and within minutes of the last missile being intercepted, the American response was already airborne. 922 strike aircraft departed bases across the region. F-15E Strike Eagles from UAE facilities. F-18 Super Hornets from USS Eisenhower operating in the region. Typhoons from British coalition facilities. B-1B Lancer bombers flying from Diego Garcia, all of them converging on Iran. Flight time approximately 22 minutes. Coordinated to arrive simultaneously. 96 Tomahawk cruise missiles were already in flight, launched from naval assets the moment the intercept was confirmed. Flying low, terrain following, targeting Iranian command centers and ammunition storage facilities first. Destroy coordination capability. Destroy remaining missile inventory. Arrive ahead of the manned aircraft. The target list was comprehensive. 12 missile launch sites. The exact sites that had fired the 72 missiles. 4 radar installations. The early warning and targeting infrastructure. 3 command centers. The IRGC Aerospace Force facilities that planned and executed the launch. 2 ammunition storage facilities. What remained of Iranian ballistic missile inventory. Total weapons allocated. 576 precision-guided munitions. GPS-guided. Laser-designated. Not a single one of those weapons was going to miss. 9:30. Iranian airspace was entered. Tomahawks arrived at their targets first. Command centers that had been transmitting orders an hour earlier were obliterated. Ammunition storage facilities began chain reacting. Secondary explosions visible from satellites. Iranian air defense systems attempted to respond. Remaining surface-to-air missile batteries activated. 18 of the 96 Tomahawks were intercepted. 78 reached their targets. 9:44. The manned strike aircraft entered Iranian airspace. Over 100 fighters, plus the B-1B bombers flying above the engagement ceiling of Iranian defenses, releasing precision-guided munitions with GPS accuracy. Each of the 12 missile launch sites received 24 G/0.1 bombs, 2,000-pound warheads, delayed fuses designed to penetrate before detonating, destroying underground shelters, fuel storage, control facilities, and launch equipment. The sites that had fired 60 years' worth of Iranian ballistic missile development at a single American base were, one by one, reduced to craters. The 4 radar installations received the same treatment, 24 bombs each. The installations that gave Iran the ability to detect and track aircraft approaching its borders went dark permanently. Command centers already struck by Tomahawks received additional precision bombs for B-1B Lancers, ensuring complete destruction. Every building, every communications tower, every generator, every backup facility. The 2 ammunition storage facilities, already partially destroyed by Tomahawks, received combined bomb and cruise missile packages. The secondary explosions from remaining missile inventory detonating in storage were visible from satellites orbiting hundreds of kilometers above. 9:52. All strikes complete. 576 weapons delivered. 21 Iranian military targets struck. All destroyed or severely degraded. Strike aircraft returning to bases. 0 American aircraft lost. 0 American personnel injured. 9:56. Operation Desert Shield complete. 26 minutes from last intercept to mission complete. The damage assessment told a story of complete strategic failure. 12 ballistic missile launch sites destroyed. Every launcher eliminated. All associated infrastructure gone. 4 radar installations obliterated. Iran was now partially blind to air threats approaching from multiple directions. Rebuilding that capability would take years and cost enormous resources Iran no longer had. 3 command centers annihilated. The IRGC Aerospace Force structure that planned and executed the missile launch no longer existed in functional form. Personnel casualties among command staff were catastrophic. 2 ammunition facilities eliminated. The remaining ballistic missile inventory that survived the original American and Israeli strikes 3 days earlier was now gone. Iran had fired its last significant ballistic missile salvo at Al-Udeid, and then America had destroyed what little remained. Total estimated Iranian military personnel casualties exceeded 2,000. Missile crews who had executed the launch, command staff, security forces, radar operators, support personnel, all struck during operational hours when facilities were fully manned. The strategic calculus Iran had attempted was to inflict enough American casualties to deter future action. The result was the opposite. Iranian military capability was now degraded to a level that would require decades and hundreds of billions in resources to rebuild. The international reaction to the failed Iranian attack and the American response was swift and nearly unanimous. Qatar announced an expansion of the American military presence at Al-Udeid. The Patriot batteries had defended Qatari airspace as much as they had defended American personnel. The alliance was demonstrably valuable. Qatar welcomed additional U.S. forces. The UAE issued a statement describing the Iranian missile attack as a threat to Gulf stability and confirming full support for the American defensive response. The partnership between the two nations, they said, was unchanged. Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Kuwait each issued statements supporting the American response and calling for Iranian restraint. Bahrain, which hosts the U.S. Fifth Fleet, was particularly direct. An attack on American forces operating from the Gulf was an attack on every nation that had partnered with the United States for regional security. The United Kingdom confirmed participation in the retaliatory strikes. British Typhoons had been among the aircraft that struck Iranian targets. The UK described the original Iranian attack as attempted mass casualties against coalition personnel and the retaliatory strikes as appropriate and measured. France offered similar support. NATO expressed unified backing for American defensive actions. The international coalition that Iran had hoped to fracture through a show of force had instead been strengthened. Iran found itself more isolated internationally than it had been 3 days earlier, and significantly less capable militarily. Military analysts examining Operation Khamenei Revenge identified 7 fundamental errors in Iranian planning that made the outcome inevitable. Error 1. Underestimating defensive coverage. Iranian planners assumed that 60 or 70 missiles would overwhelm Patriot defenses. They were not accounting for the specific configuration deployed at Al-Udeid: 6 batteries, 24 platforms, 96 interceptors, designed specifically for exactly this saturation attack scenario. The math was never in Iran's favor. Error 2. Underestimating warning time. Iranian planners assumed missile flight time would not provide sufficient warning for full defensive activation. Space Force satellite detection of launches occurred within seconds of ignition. 14 minutes of warning time was more than sufficient for every defensive system to activate and every person on the base to reach shelter. Error 3. Underestimating personnel readiness. The assumption that American forces would be caught in daily routine ignored the reality that Colonel Mitchell had placed the base on maximum alert 3 days earlier. Every person on that base knew exactly what to do and had rehearsed it. The evacuation was orderly, rapid, and complete. Error 4. Underestimating surveillance coverage. The Space Force presence overhead was continuous and comprehensive. Iran could not launch a missile in western Iran without that launch being detected, tracked, and fed into American fire control systems before the missile reached full velocity. Error 5. Self-exposure. By launching from 12 fixed sites, Iran provided precise GPS coordinates for every remaining ballistic missile launch facility it possessed. The decision to fire everything was simultaneously a decision to reveal everything. American strike planners did not need to search for the launch sites. Iran showed them exactly where they were. Error 6. Miscalculating the American response threshold. Iranian planners believed that demonstrating a capability to threaten American forces would create political pressure to limit the American response. Firing 72 missiles at 800 American service members produced the opposite result. It removed all political hesitation from the American response and generated unified international support. Error 7. The final and most consequential error was assuming this was a plan that could work. The combination of advanced warning infrastructure, layered missile defense, trained and prepared personnel, and overwhelming retaliatory capability meant that Iran was not attacking a vulnerable target. It was attacking the most defended military installation in the region with a capability that had already been factored into American defensive planning. At 9:56 in the morning on March 3rd, Operation Desert Shield was complete. 72 Iranian ballistic missiles launched, 72 destroyed, 800 Marines safe, 21 Iranian military sites eliminated. The operation that was supposed to avenge a supreme leader and deter American military action had accomplished neither objective. What it had accomplished was the permanent degradation of the Iranian ballistic missile program, the destruction of radar and command infrastructure that had taken decades to build, the demonstration to every Gulf nation watching that American defensive systems were capable of performing exactly as advertised, under real conditions against real threats. The families of 800 American service members who had spent the morning watching emergency alerts had their sons and daughters come home. Military historians studying this engagement note that it represents one of the most complete examples of a layered defense defeating a mass missile attack in the history of modern warfare. 100% intercept rate, 0 casualties on the defending side. Complete mission success followed immediately by decisive retaliatory action that eliminated the offensive capability that generated the threat. The lesson for anyone considering a similar calculation is not complicated. The United States military does not leave its people undefended. The technology, the training, the preparation, and the will to respond are all in place. And the response is not proportional, it is comprehensive. 72 missiles launch. 26 minutes later, the score was 72-0. And 21 military installations that existed before those missiles were fired no longer existed when the sun went down. This was Operation Desert Shield.